We know what it takes. Our plan comes from 30 years of practical reform in Cape York. Our purpose has been simple, that our children in Cape York Peninsula can look to the future with the same confidence as other Australian children. To do that, we had to break the old orthodoxies of both the left and the right. We have a theory of change. At the heart is a simple formula. Responsibility plus opportunity equals capability. We reclaim responsibility from the right, not as blame, but as the sources of empowerment. And we reclaim the opportunity from the left, not as sentiment, but as structured support to match responsibilities. On the progressive side, there is a belief that disadvantage can be managed through endless programs and goodwill, that compassion and spending alone can yield justice. But our lived experience shows otherwise. Compassion without reform only brought disempowerment and dependency. On the conservative side, there is a belief that if individuals simply tried harder, they would succeed. Too often this means policies that preach responsibility but withhold opportunity. A morality that demands people to stand on their own feet while pulling the ground from underneath them. This has not been an easy road. Our progressive allies have been allergic to our agenda. We declined the path of least resistance. Both are wrong. Our experience tells us responsibility without opportunity is despair. Opportunity without responsibility is passivity. Only together do they build capability. And only capability gives people the choice to choose lives they have reason to value. This is the radical centre of our reform in Cape York. We know that if we get kids through year 12, their lives are transformed. We know that if we get somebody into a job, everything changes. But in Cape York, we need to change so that when individuals are stepping up and taking responsibility, that responsibility is met with opportunity. For all those trapped in the bottom, there is too much missing opportunity. They are Australians' bottom million. Half are First Nations. We want an education guarantee. Primary schools that don't produce foundational literacy and numeracy. That is not education. It is time served in a failing system. We need a good school program for our kids in every Cape York school. A good school program can guarantee that when kids attend, they will learn. Get this. If a Cape York kid stays in high school in Cape York, only 1 in 100 will finish year 12. That puts the child on a path to disengagement, entering the justice system, and that cannot be tolerated. We've seen what does work. 94% of our Cape York Leaders Program students complete year 12. They have the opportunity to attend good boarding schools. As year 12 completion rises, so does tertiary participation, employment, and income. We have proof that our Cape York Leaders Program graduates are approaching parity with mainstream Australia. But the Cape needs solutions that work at scale. Each year, only 15 new high schoolers have the opportunity on our program. We need a 50% increase to secondary scholarship pathways. More than 700 secondary-aged Cape Yorkers are currently without any access to any secondary educational opportunity capable of closing the gap. We need an education guarantee. So, we also want a job guarantee. We've got to stop training people for jobs that do not exist. Adults willing to work must be guaranteed a job. We know there is much work to be done in our communities, and meaningful jobs can be created through reinvestment of money spent on dead-end employment services. We want responsibility to be met with opportunity for our kids across 6 life stages of capabilities, from conception to 21. We want healthy, happy brains, good prenatal care, nutrition and loving parenting from conception, early childhood foundations, quality early learning that builds pre-literacy and pre-numeracy, primary learning success. Every child is literate and numerate by the end of Year 6. Year 12 completion, the essential gateway to further study, training and employment. Further learning and earning, clear pathways into employment, apprentices or further education. Home ownership, help young adults into work and discipline savings so that they can buy their own home and build generational wealth. When these stages are linked and supported, capabilities compound and a new generation rises. We get this right and we close the gap for a generation. That's a single generation, 21 years. We get this right for our kids and capability will accumulate for the next generation too, instead of disadvantage compounding. We can close the gap by 2050. We need legislation to set in place the framework for action over the next 21 years. In Cape York, we call it our Personal Responsibility and Opportunity Act. This will be Australia's version of the GI Bill, which guaranteed opportunity at scale to the US to millions of service personnel after the Second World War. Education, housing and other opportunities were not merely promised. They were delivered under this legislation, building the middle class for a generation. The Personal Responsibility and Opportunity Act would do something Australia has never done before. It would make opportunity, not welfare, a legal guarantee.